verse 23, it tells us that after the Annunciation, the good news was given to her, and she carried the babe, and when the time for childbirth came, around that time she retired to a remote place in the east, alone. There's no Joseph the carpenter and the stable here. In the Quran, there's no Joseph the carpenter and there's no stable here. She retires to a remote place in the east, and after the birth of the child, she returns with the babe that the Quran describes. فَأَتَتْ بِهِ قَوْمَهَا تَحْمِلُهُ. So at length she brought the babe to her people, carrying him in her arms. قَالُوا يَا مَرْيَمُ لَقَدْ جِئْتِ شَيْئًا فَرِيًّا. They said, "O Mary, truly an amazing thing has thou brought." Shocked, knowing that she comes from a noble priestly family. She was a Levite, and coming from such a noble priestly family, says, "Ya ukhta Haruna," O sister of Harun, a descent from Moses and Aaron. They were Levites, and she's also a Levite, Mary. "Ya ukhta Haruna," O sister of Harun, "Ma kana abuki imra'a saw'in wa ma kanat ummuki baghiya." Says, your father was not a man of evil, nor was the mother a woman unchaste. They are insinuating, alleging, how is it that you brought this illegitimate child without a husband? What is she to do? Where is her people? In a mood to listen to her reasoning, to her telling you this fairy tale that I heard voices and I'm carrying a babe. We're there in a mood to listen to her? Of course not. Would you be, if you were then 2,000 years ago, would you listen to her? Never. What is she to do? The only thing she knew was the child. She knew that this was no ordinary child. So, فَأَشَارَتْ إِلَيْهِ, she merely pointed to the babe. In other words, ask him. So they say, قَالُوا كَيْفَ نُكَلِّمُ مَنْ كَانَ فِي الْمَحْدِ سَبِيًّا. Said, how can you talk to one who's a child in the cradle? An infant, a suckling. How can you talk to him? And by a miracle, says the Quran, Jesus spoke and defended his mother against an unbelieving audience. So, قَالَ إِنِّي عَبْدُ اللَّهِ. So most certainly I am the servant of Allah. آتَانِيَ الْكِتَابِ. He has given me revelation. وَجَعَلَنِي نَبِيًّا. And he has made me a prophet. وَجَعَلَنِي مُبَارَكًا أَيْنَمَا كُنْتُ وَأَوْصَانِي بِالصَّلَاةِ وَالزَّكَاةِ مَا دُمْتُ حَيًّا وَبَرًّا بِوَالِدَتِي وَجَعَلَنِي جَبَّارًا شَقِيًّا. He continues. He says, he's made me kind to my mother and not overbearing or miserable. وَسَلَامٌ عَلَيَّ يَوْمَ وُلِدْتُ. So peace be on me the day that I was born. وَيَوْمَ أَمُوتُ. The day that I die. وَيَوْمَ أُبْعَثُ حَيًّا. And the day that I shall be raised to life again. Such was Jesus, the son of Mary, the apostle of God, says the Holy Quran. So I reaffirm that we believe in Jesus Christ as one of the mightiest messengers of God. We believe in his miraculous birth. We believe that he was the Messiah. We believe that he gave life to the dead by God's permission, and he healed those born blind and the lepers by God's permission. We are going together. We, the Muslims and the Christians, are going together. There are 1,200 million Christians in the world today and 1,000 million Muslims. Over 2 billion people who believe in Jesus. And we are going together. Now comes the parting of the way. See, I would be a hypocrite if I keep on speaking, repeating, all the other beautiful things that the Quran speaks about Jesus and close the meeting. I would be a hypocrite. I would be deceiving you. I have to now tell you that there is a parting of the ways between you and me, between the Christian and the Muslim. And that is, the Muslim is made to say that Jesus Christ is not God. He is not God Almighty in human form. He is not God incarnate, God taking human form. And he is not the begotten Son of God. Metaphorically, we are all the children of God, the good and the bad. We are all his children. But physically, we say God does not beget. Because begetting is an animal act. It belongs to the lower animal functions of sex, and we are not to attribute such a quality to God. The Christian, in his infatuation, he goes out of his way to say, look, he is the veritable Son of God. God begot a son. Jesus is the only begotten Son. Begotten, not made. That is what he says in his catechism. I have read them. The Anglican Catechism, the Roman Catholic Catechism, the Methodist Catechism, the Lutheran Catechism, in which we are told that Jesus is the only Son. It's not like Adam. Adam was made by God. Every dog, pig and donkey was made by God. As such, he is the Lord, cherisher, sustainer and evolver of all his creation. He is the father of everything, everybody. But no, Jesus is not like that. He was begotten, not made. And I have been asking Englishmen, English-speaking people. I said, excuse me, please. You see, English is a foreign language to me. I acquired this smattering of what I'm speaking to you now. By speaking, I have become a speaker. So I said, look, please explain to me. When you say in your language, begotten, not made, what are you trying to emphasize? Please explain. And believe me, no Englishman with the name Englishman has ever opened his mouth to me. I only want an explanation what you're trying to tell me when you say begotten, not made. Because begetting is an animal act. It belongs to the lower animal functions of sex. So how can you attribute such a quality to God? I can call one of these young men here, or some older than the young men. You know, I'm about twice the age of most of you. I'm 69. So any young man says, my son. You mind if I call you my son? Would you mind? You object? No. So I call him my son. Maybe he takes a liking to me. After the meeting he comes closer to me, invites me home for a cup of tea and meet my family, and I visit him, and somehow if we are living close by, he visits me, coming and going. He calls me uncle, or grandpa. You know, his father, mother, everybody loves me, respects me. I call him a son, my son. Every time I go to his house, I say, my son. Where's the son? John, my son. So I go one day with some friends, visiting him. I'm asking his mother, where's John, my son? I say, he's just gone to the shop. He's coming just now. So sit down. And he comes. So, hello, John. We embrace one another. Hello, John. So my companion, who doesn't know our relationship, is asking me, see, is he really your son? Maybe a mistress I might have kept, you know, his mother. Is he really your son? I says, no. You see, this young man, he loves me like a father, like a grandfather, and I call him a son, out of endearment. And nobody objects. His father doesn't mind, his mother doesn't mind, nobody minds. I says, no, it is out of love and feeling I have for him, I call him a son. But instead, if I said, yes, he is my begotten son, you know the meaning changes. You understand English? I take it. Yes, he is my begotten son, you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? That is a bastard. His father is not his father, I am his father. I was responsible for procreating him. I'm swearing him in the most diplomatic language. He is my begotten son. He says, uncle, what did you say? He understands the meaning now. Son, he didn't mind. But now I'm saying, he is my begotten son. He said, uncle, what did you say? I said, no, I don't mean that. And yet I'm telling my companion, doesn't it look like my Yusuf at home? My Yusuf is in the front. Doesn't it look like my Yusuf? He said, yes. What am I saying? I'm putting salt into the wound that he is illegitimate. In a beautiful language. And I have been asking Christians, English-speaking people. I said, when you say begotten, not made, please explain to me what you are really trying to tell me. And I say, no Englishman has ever opened his mouth. It happened to be an American. An American had the guts to tell me what it means. It happened to be in Durban. An American was on a tour of South Africa, and I happened to be a guide to the largest mosque in the southern hemisphere, which is in Durban. And I was guiding him, explaining to him what goes on in the mosque. And during the course of this discussion that was going on, somehow this subject cropped up, and I asked him this question. I says, begotten, not made. What do you mean begotten? What does it mean? So he said, it means sired by God.